We're good? Okay. Glenn, you still waiting for Abby, or? He's all set. Okay, okay. I'll call the Thursday, May 29, 2025 meeting of the Cumberland Planning Board to order. Roll call. Mr. Zook. Here. Mr. McDonald. Here. Mr. Butler. Here. Mr. Scown.
Here.
Mr. Bush. Here. Ms. Reese. Here. Mr. D'Ambrosia. Here. Mr. Costa. Here. And the chair is present. Approval of the planning board minutes of April 10th, 2025 and April 24, 2025. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions? And if there are none, may I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Butler. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Reese. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 6, we're going to move forward, okay, is Haley's Commons. Mr. Motor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I spoke with the applicant today, and the applicant's requesting a continuance to the June 26th regular planning board meeting.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we move item number 6 to the regularly scheduled June meeting.
Motion by Mr. Butler. So moved. Second by Mr. Costa. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 3, request for a 1-year extension, owner applicant. Please forgive me, João Armio Arellana, and if he's here. Yeah.
What?
No, that's okay.
No, hang on. Yeah, it's Hyro.
It's
Hyro.
Hyro, okay. And the other 2 L's are a Y. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, okay. I want to divert for 1 second because pretty soon we're going to be saying farewell to an individual who's been a pillar on the planning board, Ken Bush. Ken brought a unique insight and cantankerous charm to our meetings. His honesty and sometimes feisty pursuit of the facts are going to be missed. Ken's passion for his community is always shown through, and we greatly appreciate your commitment to public service over all these years. So thank you, Ken.
We're going to miss you very much.
We'll send you a packet included.
So now I'll go back to 910 Mendon Road. This is a comprehensive permit project where the applicant has an existing building with 2 units on the 2nd and 3rd floor, and there's vacant commercial space on the ground floor where the applicant intends to create 2 affordable apartments. Planning board approved the combined master preliminary plan on June 29th, 2022. The project was vested for a year, and the planning board granted the first 1-year by right extension on June 29, 2023, and the second 1-year by right extension on May 30, 2024, so that by right extension expires on June 29th, next month. So the applicant's now requesting a one-year extension for good cause. Mr. Partington's here on behalf of the applicants. But I can tell you I've been communicating with the applicant over the past year, and there's been a lot of difficulty with his surveyor just disappearing and getting a response from DOT about the permit, the physical alteration permit that he needs. So take any questions, or Mr. Partington can speak to the item.
No questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that, in regards to 910 Mendon Road comprehensive permit, that we extend the master preliminary plan approval for an additional year.
A motion by Mr. Butler. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Scown. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes yes, motion carries.
Ken, I'm going to miss you,
Okay. Item number 4, public hearing, major land development, preliminary plan, unified development plan review, project name BF Norton Elementary School, owner, Town of Cumberland, applicant Cumberland School Department. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
And before I continue,
I also have to recuse myself.
fine, thank you.
Yeah.
What about me?
I don't remember. Do you want to talk? I don't know.
No, to recuse myself or not?
I know, I don't know why, but
Oh, because I'm related to an employee of BF Norton. I'm good? Okay.
did you recuse last time?
Yes, out of an abundance of caution.
I mean, you can,
Well,
but I really don't think that.
okay, I don't have any issues whatsoever.
Well,
I-
I don't know what you mean by issues, so
Well, as far as the fact that, you know,
listen to the.
my son is a teacher there, so,
I
Yeah.
don't think you have to recuse.
okay, fine, that's good. 364 Broad Street, Assessors Plat, 3 lots, 154, 155, 169. 0 Broad Street, Assessors Plat, 3 lots, 176, 183, 192. 0 Chambers Street, Assessors Plat, 3 lot 301, and 0 Kilbourne Street, Assessors Plat, 3 lot 182. Zoning is C1 in open space with public water and sewer. The applicant seeks to build a new BF Norton Elementary School in a different location on the current site and remove the existing building. The applicant seeks a variance from the zoning ordinance for parking space setback. Mr. Modica.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The planning board approved the master plan for this project on February 27th of this year. And the applicant's representatives are here, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the project. But at that meeting, we discussed traffic on Broad Street and how the school will have a long loop, internal loop, to accommodate pickup and drop-off at the school. Those plans at master plan were very well developed at the time. And on paper, right now with the preliminary plan, the site plan has not really changed a lot. A lot of the work has been working on drainage and establishing a sewer easement to service the property. And for that, the applicant has been consulting with our Public Works Department. One notable plan change was moving parking from the north side of the lot near Forest Avenue to the south side, where there is existing parking, and it's adjacent to a commercial lot with a vacant bank. Here, the applicant needs a variance because they don't meet the 10-foot setback. But in your staff report, we found that the variance meets the required findings and is in a much better location at the south end of the property rather than on the north behind all the houses on Forest Ave. So overall, we find the preliminary plan is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and we're recommending approval with conditions which are slightly different than what's in your staff report. So I'm just going to read them out. The conditions are abandoning Kilbourne Street, merging all the lots via administrative subdivision, providing permits from DEM, approval from the Pawtucket Water Supply Board, Cumberland Sewer Department approval, physical alteration permit from RIDOT, and the sewer easement. The last bullet in your staff report, which had the two sub-bullets about showing a couple items on final plan, that was in error. Those items are on the plan, so they're not going to be a condition of approval.
Does the board have any questions? Mr. McDonald?
It's probably a small thing, but on page 6, the recommendation is the third bullet. If you read the introductory paragraph and then attach that third bullet, it doesn't appear to be a statement, and I don't know quite what it means.
The third bullet, any comments received from state and/or federal review agencies?
Right, and/or written summary of the required state or federal permits. Am I missing something? What does it say?
We know the permits they need, so I just specified that they're going to need the DEM permits and the RIDOT physical alteration permit.
Okay. If you or perhaps someone from the school department could comment, there's a 54% increase at build-out up to 576 students from 300 and something. And regarding the resulting traffic, I'm assuming that dismissal, there's just one dismissal. And if there is, can someone talk about the percentage of students projected, perhaps on what you have now on those that would be leaving by bus, those in a privately owned vehicle, and those walking to their home? Thank you.
Hello, Anne-Marie Andrade from Collier's Project Leaders. So we're the owner's project manager representing the Cumberland School Department for BF Norton School. So your question was specific to the number of students projected at the new school. Currently, we're building this school projecting a number of 576 students. We don't have the full breakdown as of yet as to which locations those students will be busing or which districts they'll be arriving on.
Okay, but there is one single dismissal in the afternoon, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we'll hear from the applicant.
Anne-Marie Andrade?
I just wanted to make you get up and down.
No problem. Collier's Project Leaders?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So Anne-Marie Andrade, I'm the OPM representing the Cumberland School Department for the new BF Norton Elementary School project. And we have a presentation for you today to just give you a high-level overview of the project. I'm joined by our amazing design and construction team. If you want to introduce yourself.
Samantha Lane with AI3 Architects. Suzette Joseph with Consigli Construction.
We also have representation here from Gary Du Bois from Vertex Engineering, as well as John Shovelin from PAR Corporation, and Chris Bradner from Traverse Landscape Architects, a part of our team. All right, bear with me, just trying to go to the next page. Again, some technical difficulties. Perfect. There we go. Sorry about that. So this evening, what we'd like to run through, just provide you with any project updates for the construction project. So going through a high-level project schedule, site development, traffic analysis, stormwater management, as well as construction phasing and logistics plan, and then walking you through our building floor plans and interior and exterior renderings. So for our schedule, currently, right now, we're in construction documentation. We are planning to submit our 60% construction documents to RIDE in a couple of weeks. At the end of July, we will be at 100% construction document completion. And then shortly after there, we are planning to mobilize and start construction this summer, so early August. Our construction timeline will be roughly 25 months, with a completion date of fall of 2027 for the new school year. Now we'd like to provide you with some updates related to the site.
Hi, my name is Chris Bradner of Traverse Landscape Architects. I'm just going to go over the changes briefly. As Glenn mentioned, we moved the parking that was to the north along the abutters and moved those parking spaces to 3 different locations, some of which are in the south parking lot, some of which are in the curved parking lot, and some of which are along the small parking lot near Broad Street. We'll go over the parking changes, the total number of changes in a few slides. The other piece that was changed since the master plan approval is we moved the access road around the north side of the site a little bit closer to the abutters, still maintaining a nice buffer between the access road and the abutters themselves, providing more play space. So that also extends the queue length a little bit. And then the third change I wanted to point out was a comment from the TRC to provide access to Kelly Boulevard up the slope next to the playground. So those are the main changes since the last time we were here. This diagram just accentuates those changes in black and white and color, the move of the parking, the access to Kelly Boulevard, and extending the restricted access drive to the north, freeing up more play space behind the school. Essentially, service and access has not changed since the last time we were here, still wrapping around the school, providing service in the back of the school, and emergency access around the entire school. The parking change from 84 the last time we were here is down to 81, just losing a few spaces due to that change of eliminating the parking to the north end of the site. Circulation has not changed. As you can see, still circulating around the school in the mornings and the afternoon, provided bus circulation drop off right at the front of the school and looping back out onto Broad Street, providing safe turning movements for the buses as well. During the day, cars parked, gates closed, play area in the back. This is the same as the last time we were here. Afternoon circulation also hasn't changed with the same direction of flow as the morning traffic. And for the traffic analysis, this is the existing conditions. The existing conditions have not changed since the last time we were here. And the afternoon traffic, same as the last time. If you have any questions, John is here to answer them. And then for stormwater management, due to those site design changes I just explained, the same approach and methodology is used for the stormwater, minor changes, and if there's any questions regarding the proposed area and drainage and stormwater. Gary is here to answer any questions.
What is the backup plan for the electric gates if they're not working, if they're in an emergency, for instance?
Yeah, Anne Marie, do you want to talk about how they're going to be used on a daily basis?
Sure, so backup plan for emergency, so fire and police, they will have a Knox box there as well, so they'll have access to those gates for an emergency. We've had thorough meetings with the fire marshal and the police chief to review all of the plans and make sure we're incorporating enough, the proper gates that they would like to see on site, as well as allowing for enough space for their fire trucks to get through in the case of an emergency with our loop road.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
When there's an event at the school, I noticed on the loop there's 39 event parking spots for a grand total of 120 parking spots. Does that differ from the previous plan? Do we lose any of the event parking change?
No, we didn't.
All right, thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll have Suzette Joseph walk us through the construction, safety, and phasing plans.
Suzette Joseph, Consigli Construction. So the site phasing plan that we are currently showing here shows us breaking up the job site in multiple quadrants. This job is ultimately a soil fill job to bring the site up to grade. We'll be working through the zones as labeled A through G, and it would also be worked through with summer months, August through, or June through September when school is out. We've marked out the areas that will be summer work, and then areas that will be throughout the school year. So this is pretty much the timeline and the scope of work based on each area. So first page showing August through November 2025. Nothing has changed from previously what we've shown. We have the bus loop remaining the same as it is to date. We have pickup and drop off the same as it is today. And our fence perimeter around the construction site from August to November 2025. From December through March 2027, we anticipate that we will have the temporary ring road around the job site, allowing for the pickup and drop off to commence and make that easier for parents. We also anticipate that we'll have temporary parking along the job site north of the site there. We are planning to have at least 20 spaces there, some for site and some for use by the school. The bus loop will remain the same, the blue arrow that goes around the school. No changes there. The only change is that the parent pickup and drop off will be going around the loop road as we previously planned. June 2027 through August 2027, we anticipate that the school will be completed and turned over. We'll just be working through a perimeter around the existing building to complete the demolition of the existing school, the underground utilities, and putting in the Veterans Memorial and pedestrian pathways at that area. With a fall completion that we're anticipating for 2027. Are there any questions on safety or phasing?
So we'll conclude, Samantha Lane with AI3 Architects. We'll conclude with a just update on the building design. So beginning with the floor plans. So the overall building organization has remained consistent with our previous discussion. So starting on the lowest level, towards the north side of the site is that two-story volume that contains the gym and student dining for that more public area that has direct access to that play space for during the school day and for after-hours use. And that can be fully separated from the southern portion of the building, which is the academic wing.
I have questions.
Oh, Mr. Costa?
The first question is, in the gymnasium, I can't tell here because the writing is so small. Are there bathrooms in here?
So the bathrooms, the gymnasium itself is that dark orange rectangle, and directly below that is that more peach colored space, and that is, I'm not sure if my mouse is highlighting that zone right in here. Those are the student and staff restrooms. So they are directly outside the door from the gym, just to the left here.
Okay, and down at the bottom, are those classrooms?
Yes, so this whole portion that's kind of halftone is actually the level above. So, so this lower level is about 3 feet lower than that main classroom level to help with the grading of the site. So moving up to the main level, all of these light blue and dark blue spaces are the classrooms. So this wing of the building is the 3-story academic wing. So all of the classrooms wrap the perimeter in this blue color. So all of those are have exterior walls with windows and then face inward towards the shared collaboration zones, such as the media center and our classroom, which are shown in the pink and the purple here.
Do those classrooms have bathrooms?
The kindergarten classrooms have dedicated
I think that's a
bathrooms.
state reg.
Yes.
The rest of the classrooms?
And then the rest of the classrooms, sort of in the middle again, is that peach colored area. Each floor has this core of bathrooms there are the student bathrooms as well as staff bathrooms.
How about
per
sinks?
floor. There are shared sinks at the restrooms and also at the shared learning commons areas, which are kind of these, again, in the light blue, if you can see my mouse here. We have learning commons on each level that have sinks that can be accessed.
But these classrooms do not have sinks in the classroom,
Only the kindergarten.
only kindergarten.
Yes.
Okay, how about closet space?
Sorry?
Closet space in these classrooms?
Sure, yes. So all of the classrooms do have built-in casework, which is cabinets with doors, and all of that is lockable, as well as bookcases along the perimeter of all of the
Have the
classrooms.
teachers reviewed this plan?
Yes.
And they're okay with that, just having a little closet in the room? They're okay with the fact of not having sinks in that classroom? They're okay with that?
Yeah, the sinks have been an ongoing discussion. We've been working with the staff to give them the services they need while working with the restrictions of this project. So the solution has been the shared sinks that are accessible from all of the classrooms.
But those shared sinks are sort of like in the middle of that.
Correct.
So the classroom at the bottom right, in order for them to get to a sink, they have to walk down that hallway and walk up, am I correct?
To access that sink,
That
yes.
sink.
Yeah,
So there's nothing in the room, kids can't wash their hands in the classroom,
correct, not within the classrooms.
and the teachers are okay with that?
Yeah.
And I could maybe speak a little bit to the sinks for each classroom. So we definitely wanted to make sure we had dedicated restrooms and sinks to provide to the kindergarten level, but levels 1 through 5, they
But
don't.
kindergarten is, that's riding, You have to have that.
Correct, you have to have that. So we spoke with the teachers, we went through each grade level, and their concerns or their feedback was sinks or interconnecting doors. So looking into and adjusting what, the project can afford, we made sure we can at least have the doors into the project. So that is an update from the previous submission that we had. And then the alternate is having the shared space for sinks.
And they were concerned about all their teaching goods and items for storage space for that.
As far as their teaching storage, no, it was mostly the sinks in the classroom because they have that today. So this would be a new behavioral change for them, having sinks in a shared common space.
With all due respect, I find that hard to believe. Because teachers have a lot of materials. And also, if there's not a storage space in the classroom, is there a common room or a common space where teachers could put all their items?
Yes, there is. So in those learning commons here, and we'll go through some of the interior renderings so you could see what those case goods look like. So everything is pretty much built in, where we'll have wardrobes for the teachers, cubbies, lockers for the students. We also have some other storage areas in the administration location. So today at BF Norton, they have a storage closet where they really manage all of those supplies and other items that get distributed throughout. And then also with, each suite, each math suite, learning suite, they have some dedicated storage for their materials.
I'd be interested to see what that space looks like.
Sure. And if you wanna continue.
So this is just the third level of the classroom. So the past 3 plans we've flipped through have been the repeated classroom layout. So that's the 3-story academic wing to the south of the building. And then we'd like to share just a couple updates to the exterior. So generally, again, the same design concept of mostly a brick facade with pops of accent color using metal panel. Really using this to highlight the main entrance as well as the prominent Broad Street facing facade along this classroom wing here. So these have been updated to reflect the material palettes that we've been reviewing with the district and have included in our 60% submission. And this is taking a look at the north side of the building, so that's that gym area, as well as the after-hours entrance to the student dining in the blue, sort of centrally located there. And what you're seeing in the foreground is the outdoor learning space, as well as the area for the playground and the field space next to the gym.
Is this an appropriate time to discuss the roof again?
Sure.
Okay. I did some research in some of the school systems around town and other cities. Flat roofs are not a good idea. And for them to put a roof on Ashton School with trusses, that means something to me, the fact that in New England, a flat roof isn't a good idea. And if nothing else, I just want to go on record, and I know I'm very familiar with another school system in the state, and they have a designated person that just deals with flat roofs in this particular school system. That's all he does all day, is walk around repairing them because they're constantly leaking. So if nothing else, maybe 20 years from now, when they go to do something with the school, I won't be around, but if they look up the notes, they'll see that Costa was against the flat roof.
Okay.
That's all.
Sure. No, I mean, I can speak to it a little bit. A lot of our designs do include flat roofs, but there is a bit more nuance to it where the steel is sloped. It's just a more minor slope. So it is accounting for water runoff. And then we're also using the tapered insulation and roof drains across the entire roof system to accommodate the runoff and stormwater.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so moving to the interior, so here are a few of those renderings that Anne Marie mentioned. So beginning in the media center space, so what we were really looking to achieve with these kind of more shared areas is really highlighting the learning through use of color and materials. So I thought I did that. So this area is centrally located in the building and really gives the opportunity of visibility and collaboration between the students and easy access to learning materials. So in this media center, you can see wrapping around the perimeter are all bookcases, and then in the center there is the circulation desk with the staff resources. And then actually at the wall that we'd essentially be standing against, that back wall is where the full height casework is for additional lockable storage in that space. On the other side of that wall would be the art classroom. So again, showing that would be kind of our standard casework arrangement. So we have the base cabinets with the sink, and then the wall cabinets above, and then a handful of the full height wardrobes again with the full height lockable doors. So all of the classrooms do have varying extents of that organization of casework. This is an art classroom, so this does have significantly more casework. We have that wall, as well as, again, the wall that's slightly out of view has more counter space and cabinet space. But within all of the typical classrooms, we are finding that balance of the built-in cabinets as well as mobile bookcases that the teachers can use to arrange their space accordingly.
Have you visited a teacher's classroom with a closet in the teacher's classroom, elementary school?
Yes, so we did do a series of programming meetings with the staff and explained all of these types of furniture with them. And they did seem comfortable with the idea of the closable closets or the closable cabinets because they will still provide that lockable storage for them.
Thank you.
And then, this is the typical classroom layout. So here we're seeing that main entrance to the classroom, right adjacent to the casework and teacher desk. And then to the left here is actually that small group room, which we incorporated between classrooms for shared learning opportunities, pullouts for small groups, and easy access for the different classes to use that space. We have marker board and tack board surface on most of the walls within all of the classrooms to just maximize the area that they have. And then this is one of those shared learning commons areas that we mentioned with the sink, and that's one per level of these learning common areas. So all of the classes would be able to share this space for additional group work, and then we would have that, again, lockable casework for their group kits. They do a lot of STEM and science kits and projects that they were looking to use these spaces for. We're again trying to incorporate pin-up space and flexible seating just to allow for all of the different grade levels to be able to use these spaces the way that makes sense for their curriculum. And then moving to that lower level, this is the student dining area. And so again, balancing the use of color and materials to create a warm and inviting space that does have that natural light and direct connection to their outdoor play area. And then wrapping up at the gym. So this is to the right of this view is where that wall would open up for the stage. So seating would occur within the gym, and then the stage could be used for performances and assemblies. We have the basketball court for games and for gym class. And then again, we have that natural light and direct connection to that outdoor field area to the north. Any other questions on the design update?
Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Where are we? Okay. At this point, I will ask if there's anyone in the audience or here virtually, if they've got any questions or comments that they would like to approach the board, please come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record. Anyone? Anyone in the queue?
If there's anyone on Zoom who would like to speak to this matter, please click the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen. And we have no one, Mr. Chair.
Okay. And since there's no one here that has any questions, I will close the public hearing.
I've got a sort of late question.
No, that's fine. This is the public hearing, so
Okay.
as soon as I close the public hearing at 7:15 PM. Mr. Zook?
Thank you. I'm trying to visualize the stage here in the gymnasium. Is it sort of behind that backboard that we see? And does that area kind of open?
Yes.
Okay.
So Samantha Lane, AI3 Architects. So in that ground floor plan where you have the orange area for the gym, that purple region indicates the area of the stage. So that's actually where it's dual purpose as the music classroom. That's why we have that operable partition there rather than it just being an opening into the gym. So that music classroom is elevated to where you see in that rendering. So it is about, I think, 2.5 feet above the floor height of the gym. And so when you're in that space, the door does come to the floor, essentially. And so then for performances, that wall would open up and you'd have that elevated stage that is looking out onto the gym, and then you'd have that entire square footage of that purple region. That's your stage space.
I see. And then the seating would be in the gym
Correct.
area?
Yes, and then
All right.
facing towards that purple area.
Excellent. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you know what the dimension is of that stage?
I should have that memorized.
I'm not holding you to exact measurements.
I mean, the gym is at, well, this, I was thinking for width, it's probably like 20 by 40. No, larger than that. Much less than that, yeah. It's about half the size of the gym, right, so. Yeah, so like 20 by 30. Yeah. Give or take.
Mr. Costa, you had a
Yeah,
question?
one question. If there was a basketball game, there would be no seats on the floor, am I correct to say that? Because they would all be in this room, this 20 by 30 room?
That's
stage?
the stage.
Would you be able to put seats up there, foldable seats, so they could view the game?
That could be an option. That's, yeah.
Because the gymnasium looks awfully small to put, you can't put seats on the floor. So the seats are gonna have to go someplace where the parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles
sure.
wanna come and see this game of the little guys.
Yes, and I will say the basketball lines are representative. We will work for the, final correct dimensions of that, so there may be additional width along the length of the gym for some seating.
Yep.
But the stage could be an option. That door is easily operable, so you could open that
And the
up.
stage, approximately how many people do you think you could put on the stage?
So for the typical classroom use, it fits about 30. So for performances, it would be more to the 50 to 60 range.
Okay. All right. And where would the parents and grandparents sit? If there was say, a musical performance there on a stage, where would they sit?
They
On the
would sit
gym?
in the gym, yes.
gymnasium
Yeah,
floor.
the seating would be formed to face
Gotcha.
towards the stage, and it would open up.
Okay, thank you.
I do have one question. I'm looking at the plan that shows the traffic. As far as the buses are concerned, and because you've got a, you know, the bus is depicted here. Is there adequate turning radius for
Yes.
for them to come out?
Yes, we have done those calculations.
Okay, because, I mean, this is just a pictorial of it, so it seems like it's a little on the tight side, but that's the one concern I had, is make sure that.
Sure,
that
yes.
That's what the circulation's gonna be.
And I will say there is like the hatched region,
Yeah,
that is flush pavement, it's not raised,
Mm-hmm.
so the buses can turn over that painted area as well. So they have wider, it is wider than it looks.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Anyone else have any, Mr. McDonald?
I just want to make a comment, and I'm not opposed to this, but to piggyback on the questions that I had about the number of students, and those that walk, those that go home by car. It's unfortunate that we don't have some solid information on a projection of how many vehicles would be involved in queuing up at dismissal time. And is it possible that that queue would extend out onto Broad Street, which is busy enough? And also, the professional, the educational staff running the dismissal, if you will. I trust in their judgment, but it's just always in the back of my mind about a child getting hurt in a car accident on that street. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I was going to bring that up also. I mean, I'd probably be remiss in my last meeting not to ask if there was a traffic study, because I love those. I did read a little bit up on it. I said they think there's not going to be any change in the level of service as far as traffic goes.
And we do have John Shevlin here with PAR Corporation. He did conduct that traffic study, so he can answer additional questions if you have.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. For the record, my name is John Shevlin from PAR Corporation. So a traffic study was done by WSP USA prior to us getting involved in the project, and it was done for the Rhode Island Department of Education. So they did the analysis based on the volume of traffic they anticipated. The level of services that are existing right now at the intersections along the roadway are going to remain the same. As far as the circulation, we have much more room for going ahead and stacking cars on the site for the proposed conditions. On the existing conditions in the morning, we went out there, we observed the conditions during the morning. There was, I think, maximum of 5 cars that were queued up at once. There was a procedure that kids got dropped off, they were escorted into the school, the cars pulled out, pulled away. In the afternoon, there was stacking there for, I believe it was 25 cars are existing now. There's plenty of room in there now. They could put a dual lane if they need to around the perimeter of the property, so they can stack probably 3 times more than what they have right now. They're doing less than half amount of traffic right now. So I think with the stacking, there's going to be less cars coming in and out of this, walking on the sites. It's going to help with the traffic flow because you have less pedestrians and more drop-offs.
So you anticipate, well, I was just thinking about drop-offs, do you anticipate a large increase in drop-offs as opposed to, it was mostly going to be school bus?
We're hoping with the connection for the pedestrian from Cumberland Street that you'll get more walkers to the school. There is a better sidewalk system now along Broad Street, so we hope there's going to be more walkers that way too. So the number of cars, it's going to increase with the number of students, but we think the site's been designed to go ahead and be able to accommodate those number of drop-offs.
And are they recommending a traffic light at Mill Street? Is it, or?
That's been something that I think the town, with the other developments, I mean, we've done a few other studies, and I think Mill Street could go ahead and be warranted for a signal. I think there's been discussions with other projects about approaching DOT for that, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I'd like to hear from the board at this point and give me your assessments.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an improvement.
Yeah.
In the area and the overall, I'm definitely in favor of it. I can't see any real downside.
Yeah, I think, obviously, the existing building has served the town very well for a number of decades, but education has changed. The town is getting larger by the hour, so there's a lot more kids. So I think it's, it's much needed improvement. It's a very good design, as Mr. Shevlin pointed out. It will take a significant amount of traffic off Broad Street with the loop. I believe, if I remember correctly, when the superintendent was here, a preliminary plan, he said that one of the challenges of figuring out exactly how many buses, how many walkers, how many this, that, is once the school is done, the town's gonna go through another redistricting, so they don't actually know where those boundaries are going to be, and depending where the boundaries are set, that'll kind of drive how many buses they need, how many kids will be able to walk, how many kids will get dropped off, but I do think the loop will help that, and so again, kudos to the school department and the design team, and it's clear a lot of thought and effort went into designing the school, and hopefully it'll serve the town for another several decades. So.
Well, I don't know if anybody knows that before B.F. Norton was an elementary school, it was originally a high school. It was the high school for the town of Cumberland, way back when. And then the school was vacant for quite some time, until I guess it was somewhere in the 90s, is when they went in and made a number of improvements, or at least what they could do to rehab the facility at the time for it to become an elementary school. But the new plan, the one thing I do like, you do have a lot of spacious hallways, which makes it less claustrophobic, and that's a good element. However, again, with Mr. Costa, as far as the pitched roofs, I'm a proponent of pitched roofs. I had to deal with a flat roof, and it's been replaced 3 times and repaired a number of times. And I do understand that today's technology is much different than it was back when they did tar and gravel roofs. And the materials that they used back then, but there's, we have to deal with snow load here also. Not that I know the building's gonna be designed to carry the loads and the roof's gonna be able to carry the loads. However, that snow is gonna be sitting there for quite some time if we have a real cold winter. And nevertheless, it's going to sit there, and there's greater possibility for it to leak. But as Mr. Costa said, I just had to make that comment for the record. Anyone else?
I just have one comment. I just wanted to double on what Mr. Costa said about the sinks. It doesn't seem to be enough sinks, on these floors. I go way back in school, and there was a lot more availability of facilities to wash your hands. And I know in elementary school, I think that's probably key. And just for kindergarten, I don't think there's enough of that on the next 2 floors. Because if you only have a sink and you're gonna walk 3 rooms down, and you might have 10 kids standing in line to wash their hands, it's gonna take up time. So I think there should be some more consideration in that area, because I think it's gonna slow down, or it's gonna impede upon timing for some of the students going back and forth to class. Other than that, I think the design is beautiful.
I will say, I'm certainly not, I defer to Mr. Costa, he's the expert on this stuff, but my kids have gone to the school across the street now for a number of years. Last one's leaving in a couple of months. But they don't have sinks in their classrooms beyond kindergarten, so it looks a lot like the design of B.F. Norton, where there's kind of these big common bathrooms, kind of spaced out, but 1st through 4th grade over there's no sinks in the classrooms. It probably would benefit if there was, but I assume they didn't put sinks for the same exact reason. It's the cost and the space and so.
Yeah, I'm not saying there should be sinks in every classroom. I just thought there'd be more sinks on the floor. That was my point.
Well, it's been sometime since I was in elementary school. However, I went to school in a community that had a two-story wood-framed school, and it was deteriorating, so they built a brand-new elementary school. So I was fortunate at the time to attend that school from the second grade through the sixth until I went to what now is the middle school. And I can tell you that at the brand-new school, every single room did have sinks. And I can remember using it a number of times for various reasons, whatever the project the teachers had us working on. So I will echo Mr. Scown and also Mr. Costa's comments relative to sinks. Anyone else?
I think we're all synced out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll make a motion in regards to BF Norton Elementary that we approve the request for a zoning variance from the 10-foot setback requirement for the parking lot based on the findings of fact in the Planning Department's report dated May 21st, 2025.
I have a motion by Mr. Butler. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Bush. Any other discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes yes, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion in regards to BF Norton Elementary School that we approve the preliminary plan as the application is consistent with the goals and purposes of the comprehensive plan with the following conditions: abandon Kilburn Street, merge all of the lots via administrative subdivision. Any comments received from state and/or federal review agencies such as Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management and/or a written summary of the required state and/or federal permits. Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management stormwater permit, approval from the Pawtucket Water Supply Board, approval for the sewer easement from the Cumberland Sewer Department, and the permit from the Rhode Island Department of Transportation for a physical alteration. And the motion is based on the findings of fact in the Planning Department's report dated May 21st, 2025.
I have a motion by Mr. Butler,
Second.
second by Mr. Scown. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Chair votes yes, motion carries. Looking forward to seeing that school built. Item number 5, public hearing, formal development plan review, preliminary plan, project name Rhode Island Energy Park parking lot. Owner Narragansett Electric Company, applicant Rhode Island Energy. Location 1595 Mendon Road, Assessors Plat 39, Lot 24. The applicant requests preliminary plan approval for a formal development plan review project to build a 28,250 square foot parking lot with 79 parking spaces. The applicant is also seeking a waiver from the zoning ordinance for placing a fence within 10 feet of the edge of the embankment of the stormwater basin. Ms. Maveri.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a little brief background. So on August 29th, 2024, the Planning Board reviewed a master plan application from Rhode Island Energy for the expansion of a training facility at the same location. While that approved master plan is related to the current proposal to construct a new parking lot on the same site, the town's reviewing the two projects as distinct. This project before you right now proposes the construction of a new parking lot that will support the staff working at two buildings on the property. Currently, between those two buildings, there are 215 employees, approximately. As the proposed parking lot is to service previously completed building renovations, it won't result in any increased vehicular traffic to the site. The project area is approximately 1.27 acres of undeveloped land. It'll be cleared for a 28,250 square foot parking lot, which will have 79 parking spaces, ADA compliant ramps and sidewalks, and landscaped islands. Additionally, a stormwater management system will be installed, which will include 4 stormwater basins. The applicant is requesting a waiver from the town zoning requirement that a stormwater basin fence be set back 10 feet from the basin edge. Due to a ledge and steep slope to the southeast and an existing pedestrian sidewalk to the northwest, the applicant is proposing a reduced setback of 4 feet from the north side of the basin. The fence meets the 10-foot setback on all other sides. The planning department supports this waiver as the strict enforcement of the 10-foot setback would be impractical due to the site's conditions. Additionally, the waiver maintains sound planning practices by preserving full perimeter fencing, and it aligns with the goals of the comprehensive plan and zoning ordinance, particularly regarding safety. I'd like to note the entirety of the chain link fence around the stormwater basins and parking lot will have barbed wire on top for safety and security reasons. This was previously approved by the town council through resolution 2532 on May 21st of 2025. So to conclude, the planning department recommends approval of this project as it supports economic development, yields no negative environmental impacts, and is overall consistent with the comprehensive plan.
Board have any questions for Ms. McVeary? You're free to go.
Awesome. Thanks.
Well, not leave, you got to. Okay. Is the applicant here, I'm assuming?
Hi, good evening. George Watson, outside siding counsel for the Narragansett Electric Company. I know it's been mentioned a couple of times that it's Rhode Island Energy, but the purpose of this proceeding and the purpose of the application, we need to use the Narragansett Electric Company, which is the legal owner of the property and all the assets there. Also, I have 2 representatives from GZA.
Ryan DuPont, I'm an engineer with GZA in Providence, Rhode Island.
Nicholas Damagella, engineer with GZA.
We can give a quick overview of the project. Yep. So this is overview. This is an overview of the site. You can see it highlighted in blue with the building right there. Excuse me. So this is a close-up of the site. The parking lot that's being proposed is going right in this area right here. Oops, sorry. In this area right here. This is a view of the existing conditions. The red fence is the fence that's being relocated. It includes a portion that is the iron fence. It's a wrought iron fence, and then the rest of it is the barbed wire steel mesh fence that I believe is 7 feet tall with the barbed wire. So this is the proposed project right here, where you have the parking spaces with additional lighting. You can see the catch basins, and then the security fence will be restored around the perimeter of this. The barbed wire is on the outside of the parking and also the catch basin. There's an interior fence running along the catch basin that's a 4 foot tall mesh fence that's consistent with what's required. Again, this is a close-up. In the lower left corner, that's the piece of the iron ornamental fence that's being restored. The rest of it is the barbed wire fence, and then the purple bluish sections at the top by the catch basin. Those are the two areas where we're extending the fence to close off the security perimeter. And that will be the areas with barbed wire. This plan just shows some of the after landscaping with the green areas being grassed areas. And everyone's favorite, this is a photo of the fences. So, I mean, this is a parking lot, so there's not a lot of fluff I can put on this thing, but we're here to answer any questions you may have regarding the parking lot.
Board have any questions?
I have a question.
Mr. Costa?
Can you explain to me the reason for the barbed wire fence?
Security.
And what are we securing? Parking lot?
No, the property.
The property.
Yeah, so that fence is the perimeter fence, so that by closing in the perimeter, we're securing the parking lot, but we're also, it's restoring the perimeter to the entire property.
What do they have now up there for security, we'll say?
Would you like to sign a non-disclosure?
Yeah.
No, it's operations. There's an LNG facility in the back. So it's their operations. I'd say just about every office and operation site that I've been to that's owned by the company has similar security in place.
Yeah, this is really the first time this has ever come up, I believe, to us, using barbed wire.
I've been before the town council about 4 or 5 times now for barbed wire, 3 for this site.
Yeah.
The other sites were substation sites. And so it's, and that fence is, it's not young. It's been there for a long time. And so it's,
Have they had any problems in the past that would warrant needing barbed wire this time around? Or is it just
it could be interpreted as a fence working. I don't know that they've had any security issues there before, but it's, that is the standard that they're using.
Not that I want to testify on your behalf, but knowing what the site's going to be used for, a lot of training and testing. So there's going to be some heavy equipment, I understand, because they're going to be digging and filling in as part of the training process. So I would suspect that because of being a testing facility, it's more important that the site be secured. Am I correct?
Is just as important, I would say. So that facility has an education component, which is yet to be built. And so that will be a new component. I think I don't know that this parking lot's gonna serve so much for that purpose.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about the parking lot, but the entire facility.
Okay, I mean, yes, I mean, it's a utility facility. There's a gate station that supplies, I think, most of Cumberland at that backside of the property. But there's also stuff going on inside the building that requires security. Like it's a difficult place to get into for a reason.
What about cameras? Are there going to be any cameras along the outside?
This project doesn't include that. I think there are security cameras there already.
Just for the buildings?
For the buildings. I can't speak. They just recently rebuilt the gate station in the back off of Scott Road. I can't speak to what security measures are there beyond. I know there's an existing fence configuration that's similar to this.
Thank you. Anyone else have questions? Mrs. D'Ambrosia.
Can you explain the circulation of the parking lot? So if you can go back to the plan view of the parking lot for a sec. So it looks like you come in the westernmost drive aisle, and then it's kind of shaped like a W, but the 2 other drive aisles are dead ends, they're blocked off. So I'm wondering what the point of not connecting the interior lanes of the parking lot to the road that it services.
I believe there's a fence there, but
Yeah, I can answer that. No problem. Ryan DuPont with GZA. The parking lot circulation is set up the way that it is essentially, at the request of the owner. There's currently a fence along that section. The roadway that it's looking at is not an actual public roadway. It is a private driveway. And that's just the way that they would prefer to have traffic circulate.
It's just uncommon to see a dead end in a parking lot without the ability to turn around with like a hammerhead or anything like that. And then my second question, the easternmost drive aisle is 33 feet wide. The others are 24 feet wide, which is pretty standard. So I'm noticing that there isn't a median in that second parking bay, but the aisle width is quite wide. So I'm wondering if there's a reason behind that, or?
Oh, yeah, sorry, there's a retaining wall in that section for the grade that sort of just constricted space or had a space issue, which is why that aisle ended up being wider.
Can you point out where the retaining wall is?
Yes, do I have a mouse here? Yeah, here, it's right in this area, which is also one of the restrictions for access.
All right, so there's a great difference between the road and the parking lot.
Correct,
there?
yes.
All right, I'd just be curious to see if there was a way to balance out the massive amount of pavement there and reincorporate a median that could be planted. Just food for thought.
Sure, yeah, it's something we could look at, absolutely.
Mr. McDonald?
I'm not an expert. Regarding the stormwater, there's verbiage in here that talks about the catch basins in the parking lot, and it goes in, essentially goes into the existing system. It mentions in the literature we have here that the water then goes, and I'm asking, is this the existing system? The water then goes, you can hear me? Could you close the door, please? What didn't you hear, mister?
I didn't hear anything. You guys stop.
Okay. The information that we have here, the parking lot itself has catch basins. That takes the water and it goes through what I'll call a system. And essentially it goes from there to the river. So it crosses Mendon Road. At least one question I have is that water going to use the existing system to transport the drainage from the parking lot in this case to the river?
Sure. So today in this area is a grass field. There are currently no catch basins in this area. As part of the parking lot design, we will be incorporating catch basins into the parking lot. The catch basins will convey the water from the parking lot into the stormwater best management practice system, which includes a sediment forebay in the southwest edge, which is about where my mouse is. From the sediment forebay, water will be transferred into a sand filter where it will be treated. Water from the sand filter that doesn't have the ability to infiltrate any excess water will then flow over toward the south into the settling basin, where my mouse is now. And from there, it will enter the existing drainage swale that conveys water down the driveway and towards Mendon Road. Today, any water that falls in this area essentially channelizes into a swale that runs to the west of the driveway and then follows that exact drainage path towards Mendon Road.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Costa?
Is any of the construction that's going on Mendon Road have anything to do with what this project is all about?
It does not.
It does not. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is a public hearing.
7:50.
So if there's anyone here in the audience that have any questions or comments at this point, please come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record, and also extend those requests to the people in the queue.
There's no one, oh, no, we do, sorry.
No one?
No, hang on one sec. So if anyone out there on Zoom wants to speak to this matter, please click the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen. And we have none.
Okay. Seeing that there's no one here in the audience that has any questions, I will close the public hearing at 7:50 PM and restrict comments to the board.
Mr. Chairman, if nobody has any comments, I'll make a motion that we approve, in regards to Narragansett Electric Company, approve the waiver from the town's zoning ordinance regarding the fence around the stormwater basin, allowing it to be 4 feet from the north side of the basin, and the fence will meet the 10-foot setback on all other sides. The approval of the waiver is based on the findings of fact in the planning department's memo to the planning board dated May 21st, 2025.
I have a motion by Mr. Butler. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Costa. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The chair votes yes. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a second motion in regards to Narragansett Electric Company that we approve the preliminary plan as the application is consistent with the goals and purposes of the comprehensive plan based on the findings of fact in the planning department's memo to the planning board dated May 21st, 2025.
I have a motion by Mr. Butler. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Mr. Bush.
Second by Mr. Bush. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The chair also votes yes. The motion carries. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next item of business is a public hearing for North Shore Mill. Owner applicant Landing Cumberland LLC, location 32 Meeting Street, Assessors Plat 2, Lot 17, 162, 163, 165, 166, 167, 168, and 177, and 178. Zoning is C2 with public water and public sewer. The applicant proposes to rehabilitate the mill into 110 residential units, of which 25% will be affordable. The applicant requests adjustments for residential density, landscape buffer, non-commercial use in a mixed-use zone, C2, parking space setback, lot coverage, and parking aisle width. Mr. Modica?
All set?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're doing Noshawn. Public notice was given that there would be a hearing for this item, and I spoke with the applicants last week, and they'd like to present the project to the board to get feedback on the project, but for this board not to vote on the matter tonight. Instead, I believe the applicant will be asking for continuance to a future planning board meeting. There was a pre-application meeting before the board on March 28th of last year. The project was for 114 rental units with 25% affordable, with an even split between one-bedroom bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. At last year's meeting, the board did express some concern regarding traffic in the neighborhood, especially at the intersection of Broad and Mill Street. And I believe we have representatives from PAR, and PAR is the traffic engineer for the applicant, and from BL Companies, who are the third-party traffic peer reviewer of the traffic study. And in your packet, there are a couple of letters between PAR and BL, some back and forth comments and clarifications between the two firms regarding the traffic report. Other concerns that were expressed by the board last year related to the residential density and the affordable percentage and the relationship between the two. Perhaps there may a decrease in the number of units and or an increase in the affordable percentage. Fast forward to this year, and the applicant has completed the engineering survey and has met all the requirements for a preliminary plan submission. We did meet on site with the project engineer, and Public Works did not raise any concerns, and the applicant has agreed to improve the sidewalk beyond their property all the way to Broad Street. In terms of the overall project, I don't think a lot has changed in over a year, except where before there was an even split between 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms. There are now a greater number of 1-bedroom units over the 2 bedrooms. And as proposed, the project would need the following adjustments or variances for non-commercial use in a C1 zone, for residential density, for parking space and parking aisle setback, and for lot coverage. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Mr. Walker. There was a front page of the Valley Breeze, I believe, before I came here. It was noted in there that the planning department is not in favor of the project.
We prepared a draft staff report that was on our planning department page for maybe 2 hours. Okay. And so then I had spoken with the applicant and he wanted to continue, so we took it off that page, but the reporter was in that window, but it's a public document now, so we can make that available.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We'll hear from the applicant.
Hi, I'm Ann Brensley. I recognize some of you from our meeting back in March. I really just wanted to give you a sense of our vision again, something that I had briefly discussed with you the last time. But more importantly, right now we're just trying to get some clarity on exactly what is needed, and also give you a layout of what the economic conditions are right now, so that we can continue to work together on this. Obviously, we too saw the Valley Breeze article. We were a little bit confused by it as far as what exactly is being sought by the town or by the planning department for this project to make it something that we envision as a huge contribution to the town of Cumberland. So just to give you feedback or some background on this project is being operated by a development company, 2 development companies that are family-owned. We are not large developers. That gives us a ton of flexibility. It tends to allow us to stretch our financial positions as much as possible because we aren't looking for huge home runs. We're looking to just make a project work on paper. It allows us to be flexible. It allows us to have decision makers who are right here in front of you, who can listen to what you have to say and contribute. In this specific situation, the 2 of the individuals who were very paramount to this project passed away, one from COVID and one from COVID complications. And so this project has been in front of you for a longer period of time than we would have liked, but we were going through that transition period. The building, as you guys all know, is a dormant, difficult building. It was designed as a mill building that was not designed to maximize residential unit counts, just because it was used for manufacturing. So the layout and the actual construction limits us in an unusual way, where our ability to maximize units from an economic standpoint is really confined by the building shape itself. Not using a whole building just because of unit count doesn't make sense. That building exists. It's not a tear down.
it's probably going to outlive all of us. So we have been really just working with the community members within that space to find out what they want. It was permitted to a C2 property, or a zone for a C2 property. We have gotten mixed feedback, both from the town and community members, about the commercial side of this project, whether it's wanted or not. We're open to final suggestions on that as planning board members. I think C2 requires it, but at the same time, there's just not much business down there right now, and so there seems to be an enormous need for housing. So the feedback we've received is, we need housing, please give us housing. That specific area has Cadillac Mills. Cadillac Mills has a letter that I can share for our final meeting, but I just tell you that it exists, a letter of support. We've only gotten positive feedback by abutters who obviously are looking at this building and thinking that it's going to be a much better community space if that building is renovated. As far as affordability, we were given a certificate of critical concern. The town was given this letter a long time ago, but what this allows us all to do is identify the fact that this project has been shown by the state to be a project they want housing for. And that helps the state of Rhode Island receive federal funding. It allows us as developers to feel confident that we're all working on the same goals of housing. We are limited as far as some financial and economic situations that are going on right now. I think there was some discussion about trying to increase this from 25% affordability to 100% affordability. The easiest comment I would make to you is that right now, based on the letter, the draft that I received from the planning department, 80% of the affordable units that you guys are projecting for over the next 4 years, it's right in the draft, comes from 2 projects, St. Patrick's and Ann and Hope. 80% of what you're looking for in your pipeline. St. Patrick is dealing with the stalling of LIHTC credits. Right now, I'm gonna have my associate talk a little bit more about it, my code developer. But one of the biggest reasons we're trying not to make this project too heavy on affordability is because we may be standing here another 4 years from now trying to hope that LIHTC credits come in, or we can do this project now at 25%, which is well above what is required, and get at least the town of Cumberland to be less dependent on just 2 projects for all of their 10% requirement for affordability. We are very flexible. I think that's probably one of our biggest messages that we're trying to put out there, in hopes that it increases communication with you guys so that we get a real sense of what the problem is, if there's a problem with this project. We've gone back and forth with BNL and our traffic 4 times. 4 times back and forth on trying to figure out this traffic, and the messaging is the same. So we would love your feedback on what will get this project forward. We've done everything right with the state. We've done it as much as we can economically to get this project going. We know it's going to enhance the area. We know our abutters want it. So this is just our attempt to have this communication with you guys to move this forward. I'm gonna pass this along to my co-developer, Michael Lefevre. He deals with the financials, not as fun.
Good evening, good to see you guys again as well. It's been quite some time. Michael Lefevre, 66 Hawthorne Drive, Bedford, New Hampshire. So I just wanted to unpack, obviously the article came out today, which was a shock to us, but we've been working with Glenn for some time now, since the last meeting ended, to try to find some solutions here that would make the board comfortable with the project, with the density that we were proposing, with all of the other situations that we were facing on that specific existing site. So we dove in after that last meeting to figure out what is the best approach for this. Obviously, the number one topic, I think, in almost every county, city, town is affordable housing. So I took this upon myself to dive deep into the viability of a 100% affordable project at 32 Meeting Street. So when we left that meeting, traffic was a concern, density was a concern, and affordability was a concern. So based on the comments that we received from Planning Director Glenn, I'd just like an opportunity to kind of reset the table with where we are with this project right now. Our first iteration was for 114 units with 25% affordable component. We discussed this with the board to get the feedback on how to make this project more appealing. And after that project, we decided to dive into a 100% fully affordable LIHTC deal. So a lot has changed in a year. I'm sure we can all say that on the political front, on the economic front, and that has actually dramatically impacted the LIHTC project itself. And I'm happy to kind of go into just some of the reasons why a 100% LIHTC deal, I'm not saying is impossible, but I'm saying is a long shot with today's current environments. And by long shot, I mean a project that may not come to fruition for the next 5 to 7 years with the current landscape. So the LIHTC arena, and as you guys all know, you approve LIHTC projects, is massively dependent on LP equity or the tax credit buyers. So if you don't have that equity contribution into your deal, you do not get a lower loan amount, and then that means that the affordability component of 60% AMI, no project would ever make sense anywhere, anyhow. You really need that reduction in your loan amount for it to pencil out. Over the last couple of years, we've witnessed 11 rate hikes, or not, over the last 2 years, we've witnessed. You're gonna have to slow down. Am I too fast for you? Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Slow down. I will give that a shot, but I do talk at a fast pace, so I'll do my best here. So again, all these projects are contingent on getting outside sources of funding to make them viable. With the rent increase or the rate increases, with the construction cost increases, that limited partner, that tax credit contribution, where it used to be enough to make projects go forward, is no longer sustainable. And I speak from this on personal experience from other low-income housing projects I've worked on in other areas, is what's required to make a deal happen now is the LIHTC credits, capital subsidy that you have to get awarded to from the state, and that is a highly, highly competitive process, and there's no guarantee whether those credits or subsidy is going to come to fruition. In addition to that, the bond market has gotten completely rocked. So all of the LP tax credit investors that were there a year ago, buying credits at 89 cents, 90 cents on the dollar, that same product is now trading for 79 cents on the dollar. So brief math, if we had a $20 million LIHTC credit allocation, we would have went to from $8 million in terms of contribution down to $6.2 million. So these LIHTC deals are incredibly thin. They're penciled out at a 1.15 debt service coverage ratio, and there is not a lot of margin. So again, not to bore you with this stuff, but I just wanted you to see the logic and the process that we went through to try to see if we can actually make a 100% project work. So after a lot of consideration, we decided to go back to the original plan, which was a mix of market rate and low-income housing housing at a certain AMI bracket. So we did have a few modifications. We were able to restructure our unit count, so we're down. Again, this is still a fluid number because we're going to be interested.
I can't take it this fast. You're gonna have to slow down. I can't take it that fast.
Are you
Do the best,
are you
do
guys
the
having
best you can.
I know, are you having a problem understanding me, or
No.
is this just,
This is the most important person in the room. You need to slow down.
I will do my best.
No, you need to slow down, period. He's the most important.
Is this being recorded, Glenn?
Yes.
Okay. Just by you, so there's no camera
The
rolling?
court reporter is here for your benefit.
I understand.
Creating a record that you'll be able to use.
I will do my best to slow it down for you. Thank you, I appreciate that. Yes, thank you. So again, we've reduced our unit density from 114 units to 109 units. Is this an acceptable pace? I just don't want to, okay. So we've also restructured the layout of our units in a strategic manner to reflect more one-bedroom units and less two-bedroom units. The reason we did that was because we were also considering the sensitivity of traffic. If the fewer two-bedroom, three-bedroom units, the less likelihood that you're going to have more vehicles on the property. This has been successful with us on other projects, and that's why we've made that shift from 50% two-bedroom to 50% one-bedroom to about 68% one-bedroom and 38% two-bedrooms. So there was this connotation that we've been flip-flopping on the project. And I just wanted to set the record clear that that has not been our intention. We've been trying to figure out solutions here to add to the affordable units that the town of Cumberland's looking for. And that situation just did not seem to pan out. So we've regrouped, we've re-strategized, and we're here today to discuss this with the board on a solution to move forward. So, couple of notes that has happened since our last meeting is that we have received a historic preservation certificate from the state. So we have our Part 1, Part 2 certified. So we will be under supervision of the historic department to make sure that a quality and standard is met that they see fit. Materials, products, all need to pass through them before we can go ahead and install anything on the site. You'll get those nice, beautiful mill windows. We also intend to have an amenity-rich project, similar to some of our other projects. We're gonna have interior storage units for the residents. We're gonna have a community gym, community room, featuring billiard room, game room, full common area kitchen, and on-site leasing will be there. We've been incorporating pet spas into every one of our buildings, package concierge, bike racks, and a relaxation area by the river if wetlands or conservation deem that possible. So a few things that I wanted to touch base on is that we don't believe that what we're proposing here is contrary to the comprehensive plan that was issued by the town of Cumberland. It states the town needs 32 affordable units, affordable meaning 80% AMI or below, each year. At the current proposal here, 25% allocation on this project would add 27 to 28 units. So this project alone would come close to meeting that entire year allocation that the town of Cumberland is seeking. And I believe by the 2036 is when you guys are trying to reach that 10% affordability target. Furthermore, mill conversions are specifically mentioned in the comprehensive plan, and even more specifically, those that have access to public utilities, such as water and sewer, which this project does have access to. So it also mentions promoting the use of state and federal historic tax credits, which we believe we checked the box on that. There was also a comment regarding any environmental and health safety concerns. So as you know, environmental is usually handled by the state. There's no lender on the planet that would not require a phase 1 report on that property prior to lending. So we anticipate on getting any updated phase 1. If there's anything found in that phase 1, we'll have subsequent follow-up, phase 2, site investigation work, and anything of significance found has to be reported directly to the state, and we'll handle that accordingly. So from an environmental standpoint, we feel that we're pretty well covered with anything that may arise. One other item is that we're not here trying to maximize this property. We're not trying to squeeze every single unit possible out of this footprint. We had iterations for 140 units inside this building. The problem that we're facing is that we're dealing with a structure that's already there. It's over 128,000 square feet. And we're trying to work with the canvas that we have to try to be able to balance feasibility and density. So we're not out here trying to be aggressive, asking for more than we believe is deserved, but we also want to have the open dialogue with the board to figure out what a common ground is. What's a unit count with the square footage, with the existing conditions that make sense for the town. So as you know, the neighborhood is currently a mixed-use neighborhood. You have Cadillac Mills in the back, you have smaller residential multifamily, single-family housing, and then you have this kind of dilapidated mill building located in the back. So we believe converting that to multifamily apartments would not really be a major change of character in the neighborhood. Now, traffic obviously was a sensitive topic, and our traffic engineer is here today, so he can go in more detail on that. But one note I wanted to make was that if you're 100% affordable and 100% market rate, your traffic counts really wouldn't alter. You're still going to have the same amount of people in the building. You're still going to have the same traffic impact. So again, he'll go into it a little bit more. But to recap, we think the project absolutely fits within the comprehensive plan that the town has put forward. We are here to discuss the project with the board to find a common ground. We are open, as my partner Ann mentioned, to discussing affordability limits or increases, reductions in density, and possible capital contributions to the housing fund, which is also outlined in the comprehensive plan. So I will hand it over to our engineer, and if you guys want a copy of the historic certificate, please let me know. I printed out a copy for everybody, and then we will go through the engineer and traffic and open for comments. Thank you.
John is going to come up. Oh, is it you? Yeah, you're going to do it? He will talk slow. He will talk slow. Talk slow.
My name is Ryan Stevens from Garofalo and Associates. We're the civil site consulting engineer for the project. Just raise this. Can I have so what we were going to do is I was going to join the Zoom meeting and then share my screen with the site plans. What's the town hall Wi-Fi password? Okay. R-E-E, okay. Capital D. @ T, then 45? Okay, gotcha. Let's see if that works. You know what? I'm not seeing the share screen option. Maybe that's because I'm just an attendee joining the meeting. Maybe I'm not able to. I also have a thumb drive with the plans on that, if that's easier. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to bring up the site layout plan here. And as you can see, here's the building. On the eastern side, we're proposing a parking field here that I'm indicating with my mouse. That will have an entrance, a single entrance at the northeastern corner of the property, right here. That parking field will be where the handicapped parking spaces will be and the accessible ADA ramps to provide access from this parking field for handicap access to the main entrance here. And on the other side of the building is going to be, other side of the building is going to be another parking field that will not have any handicap spaces, and that will go right here, and that'll essentially maintain the existing curb cut entrance on the northwestern side of the northwestern corner of the property. And then the third parking field is actually across the street, directly across the street here, where we're basically maintaining the footprint of an existing parking field and actually reducing a little bit of pavement area there as well. That will have a one-way in, one-way out configuration. And each of these parking fields will also be provided with, all the associated curbing, signing, striping, ADA required pedestrian pathways, and so forth. And as far as other ADA considerations, we're proposing to replace, I believe, as we've already mentioned, the sidewalk across the entire property frontage, as well as continuing it east to Broad Street, because that sidewalk's in pretty rough shape. So it's a good improvement to the general area to make that connection as well with all new sidewalk. Also, to the rear of the building and connecting the two main parking fields will be a series of pedestrian walkways around the back. Vehicular circulation between the two parking fields to the rear of the building wasn't thought necessary. So instead, it's going to be a more attractive kind of, tenant space with walkways, nice landscaping, bike racks, benches, and those sorts of amenities. We also, I'll pull up the grading and drainage plan next. And as far as the drainage on site, the building rooftop currently has a drain that goes off of the back of the property right here. And that'll be actually, we're proposing to maintain that connection for the roof drainage itself. That pipe, though, will be TV inspected. It will be either cleaned or replaced if found necessary, depending on the condition that it ends up being found to be in. As far as these parking fields that are going to be redeveloped, those are proposed to be a mill and overlay, a 2-inch mill and overlay, so they're not, there's pavement there now, but it's not thought to be necessary to be a full-depth pavement reconstruction, just a mill and overlay. And to accommodate the drainage generated from those parking fields, we have bioretention basins immediately to the south of each one. So that would be one here and another one right here. And those will be designed to accommodate all of the regulatory requirements from DEM because this will we will be going in for a DEM wetlands permit. We do have wetland jurisdictional areas on site and also for a RIPTES stormwater permit. So these bioretention basins will provide the treatment, the water quality treatment and recharge necessary to meet those DEM requirements. And as far as other utilities, water service, we're proposing a new 4-inch connection to the existing water main within Meeting Street. You can see that connection being made right here. That's for the domestic water. The 8-inch fire service is proposed to remain. That was not thought to be necessary to upsize, or, it's currently adequate, so that will not need to be replaced. And for sewer, there's an existing sewer main owned by the Narragansett Bay Commission that runs along the rear of the site. And we will be maintaining the existing sewer connection from the building in the rear to that sewer main. Again, similar to the drainage from the rooftop, that will also be inspected for its condition, cleaned if necessary, or replaced if necessary. And then permitting, so there's a few different permits that will be necessary. Town curb cut permits for the accesses and the reconfiguration of the curb cuts along the front. And town erosion control permit. Also Pawtucket Water Supply Board water connection permit for the connection that I mentioned right here in the front for water service. Again, not doing anything with the fire service. And then fourth, a permit from NBC for the, although that we're maintaining the connection to that sewer main along the back, we are changing the use, obviously, of the building quite a bit, so NBC will require us to go in for their approval on that. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the Rhode Island DEM wetlands and RIPD's construction stormwater permitting. So that, I think, wraps up the civil site. Again, kind of a brief summary of everything. And I think next we're going to discuss the traffic. I can just leave this up here. Take it. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Again, for the record, my name is John Shevlin from Park Corporation. So PAR was hired to do a traffic impact analysis, which we originally did in July of 2023. We did the analysis to determine the impacts to the capacity and safety of the surrounding roadways for this proposed development. Since that time, we received some comments from BL companies. Back in December of 2024, we responded to those comments and submitted a revised report incorporating a lot of those comments. We did get additional comments back in April from BL. I think there was 4 comments that weren't resolved at that time, but I think, even Mr. Modico said that, some are minor in nature, but there are things that can be easily resolved if there's things adding into the report, some information and such, but I think it's things that we can go ahead and take care of. They seem to be minor in nature to me. So just a study that we performed, we reviewed the existing conditions. We went to the field, looked at the roadway intersection geometrics. We went ahead and looked at the peak period traffic that's occurring, and we analyzed the crash history and the surrounding roadway network so we can look at the capacity. For the traffic capacity analysis, we looked at 3 conditions. We looked at the existing conditions. That's how things are operating currently today. And we looked at future no build, which goes out 5 years. That throws in traffic based on background growth that may occur in the area, the town and surrounding areas. We also added other developments that we knew that were occurring in the area to add that into the future build condition as well. And the last thing we did is we generated how many trips will be from this development, added that into the no build conditions, and we analyzed the future conditions 5 years out with the traffic. So the first thing that we did was data collection. As I mentioned, we went on the field. We went ahead, we took all the information from Broad Street, and we looked at 4 significant intersections. We looked at Broad Street with John and Church Street, and CVS driveway. We also looked at Broad Street at Mill Street, and then Broad at Meeting Street, and then Broad Street at High Street. I think everybody's aware of the area, so I won't go into details in regards to the roadway configurations, the lanes, the widths, and everything else. So as far as the counts go, you know, at the time when we were doing the study, there was construction going on Broad Street, so we were having a hard time getting accurate counts. We were doing the counts in the summer of 2023, and there's detours every time we want to do the counts. We talked to the DOT, they said, you know, you could expect detours for the remainder of the year that year. We have done, as you know, other traffic studies, so we went back to the counts that we did for Blackstone Valley Prep, which were in 2021. But to make it conservative, we added a 1% growth to bring them up to current conditions. That's based on the background growth. So we added that in to come up with counts that were gonna reflect what the conditions are. Personally, I think that 1% growth is conservative, so I think the numbers may be a little higher than what you may anticipate, but we wanted to be on the high side just as far as what the traffic volumes were. So just, that's the data collection. You know, the safety analysis, we did two things. We looked at the crash history that's occurring in the area. And we also took a look in regards to whether we have safe access in and out of the driveways into the site and the adjacent parking lots. The crash history, you know, is typical of what you can see in an area like this. You know, we broke it down per intersections. You know, one thing to note that you see there's a total between Broad Street at John all the way up to Meeting Street and beyond, and the whole corridor, almost half the accidents were rear-end crashes. And that's typically what you see as signalized intersections and intersections where cars are going forward, they stop and they back in. There was nothing in there when any fatal injuries. There was some that had, I would say, relatively minor injuries from what we could tell from the counts. But there was no pattern of where certain areas have had a major concern. You know, Broad and Mill was the highest one with accidents. I think we talked about in the past in regards to that intersection. It is sometimes tough to see out there, and you do get cars that are queuing on Mill, so people are anxious to try to pull out of that site. As far as the site distance analysis, you know, we looked at the speeds of the roadway on Meeting Street, and we looked at the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials. It's called AASHTO. Just in regards to requirements for being able to safe site distance, to be able to pull out of the site safely without creating accidents. We use a 25-mile-per-hour design speed due to the congestion of the roadway. And we took the volumes that are there, and we were able to go ahead and exceed the requirements for a safe stopping distance, which allows you to go ahead and gives you enough time to pull out, and cars can see where they can slow down and not affect you and create any crashes. The future no build, then we, as far as going back to the traffic analysis, the future no build, like I said, we added a 1% growth factor for a 5-year period based on our existing to our proposed, which was at the time 2028, when we projected that out. And we also went, and that's based on the census data that we obtained in regards to determine what the growth's been at Cumberland. Again, I think 1%, I think the growth in Cumberland, I think a lot of it maybe in other parts of town that it's occurring, but overall the town, it's a 1% growth. So again, I think we put a conservative number on there for growth for the future. We also took into account 3 other developments that we're aware of. Or I'm actually two other developments we were aware of at the time. Ann and Hope, we had that traffic volumes in there, and St. Patrick's Church in regards to those volumes that we were able to get studies for. So we added those into the traffic counts too for future no build conditions. Then for the future build condition, what we need to do, we need to go in for, and we looked at a manual called the ITE Trip Generation Manual. This is a manual that tells you the anticipated trips from particular types of developments, uses. It's something that's used by planners, engineers, and projects in regards to counts that are going to be developed for a typical type of use. So they have anything from different commercial uses to residential uses to gas stations to Dunkin' Donuts. So we went ahead, we broke down our trip generations into 2 uses. One was the multifamily housing, low rise, that has 84 dwelling units when we did this study. And then the other one was for 28 dwelling units, we were looking at senior adult housing. With those uses during the peak hours for development of the total, for the weekday AM peak hour, we came up with 71 new trips being generated. That's 20 trips that are going to be entering the site during the AM peak hour, 51 exiting. Again, these are all formulas that are used in the industry. And then the weekday PM peak hour, we came up with 77 total trips that could be generated from the site. So you're looking for the site, basically you're gonna have one vehicle that's gonna be generated on average, almost one vehicle every minute that's gonna be generated from the site, which isn't a high number. There's been talks about going ahead and market this as more of a senior living development. And if you look at senior housing, if it was all senior housing, those trips, just because of the patterns of what seniors do as far as going to work and not going to work, when you look at the manual during the AM peak hour, that's only going to generate 22 trips. With, they say 7 vehicles in, 15 out, and the PM it's going to be 15 in and 13 out, so a total of 28 there. So it's a relatively low volume if it's all senior housing. And even with the multifamily housing and the senior adult housing combined, still you're looking at average of like 70 vehicles per hour. We did a distribution of traffic based on where people, their direction based on where they work and from these areas. So we distributed that throughout there to go ahead and develop a pattern of where the volumes of traffic are going to go, apply those to each of the intersections we went ahead and analyzed. Based on our analysis, like I said, we analyzed the 3 conditions, the existing, future no build, and future build. The future, what we do typically is we compare what's going to happen between the future no build conditions versus the future build. We want to know this is already going to be built. When this is built, what's occurring with this. And I can tell you, with this development, the level of services do not change. The delays do increase, but they still stay in the same level of service. During the morning peak hour, we did have some movements that were level service F. I think it was John Street coming out of the morning peak hour was the big backup. The northbound, southbound on Broad Street did not have major delays, and they operated a good level service. So it's really the side street coming out of John Street. Then others were Broad Street at High Street, the southbound movement on Broad at High. The westbound on Broad and High was level service E, but the delay was minor in regards to what's occurring between future no build and future build conditions. Similarly, during the PM peak hours, you have the same thing. The level of services all stay the same. The delays, had the delays, and the queues did increase a little bit, but they still operate, like I said, the same level of services. There was one Broad Street at Meeting Street that went ahead and did have an increase in delay, or increase in level of service from C to D. It had an increase at Meeting Street about 8 seconds for delays. So, overall, based on our analysis, we feel like the traffic volumes based on this generation is not going to have a major significance. Again, a lot of times that the traffic's heavy out there when the schools are in and such. A lot of these people are going to be more on a different peak hour than what's occurring out there. If it's senior housing, the traffic volumes are going to be certainly a lot different than the patterns you see through a typical general housing type of development. We did go ahead and we talked about in regards to some of the recommendations. We talked about at the time when we did the study, taking a look at the signal timings. As you know, Broad Street, since we originally did that, has been completed. So we could go back and check the signal timings, see if there's ways to go ahead and decrease the delays that are occurring there. We also, again, mentioned continuing coordination or coordinate with DOT as far as the Mill Street and Broad Street intersection. That is an intersection that with the warrant analysis seems to warrant a traffic signal. I know we talked about this with Blackstone Valley Prep. That probably didn't get far enough to talk to DOT about, but I think it's worth revisiting that with them to see if they would go ahead and look at that. And then there's other things that we talked about in regards to, with this type of development, encouraging, as mentioned before, they could be looking at bike racks and other ways for people to get around the downtown area and stuff. So, that could get some of there. And then the site distance, we just recommend to make sure those are maintained, the driveways for safe access in and out. So it's a summary of what we've done. I know it's a lot, and it went okay, right? So, but I'm here to answer any questions.
Board have any questions at this point?
Yes. Mr. Bush? A peer review of the study, is it correct?
Yes, sir.
BL companies. So I'm reading from their review, and it says, in their conclusions, it says, let me just see. We believe there are a couple of locations where impacts may be more than minimal. Specifically, egress from Mill Street, where average delays are projected to increase by 2 to 3 minutes per vehicle, and the queue length by 100 feet or more. Additionally, John, well, we'll just take that one first. They're saying a 2 to 3 minute per vehicle increase in delay on Mill Street because of the project. Is that what you found, or you said there's minimal impact?
Yeah, the westbound movement on Mill Street does have a, it's level service F right now, and it'll stay level service F, and it does have, let's see, 80, 50, about 70 seconds more delay at that intersection. But right now it has like 280 seconds of delay is what they're showing right now during the peak hour. So it is increasing. That's why we're recommending putting a signal in there to help with the traffic flow.
I don't know, it's an awful long queue. It seems the queue length will increase by 100 feet or more. No. That's, I guess, what, 5 cars, 6 cars?
The queue length is 2 vehicles coming off there.
What's that?
The queue length it's going from 18 vehicles to 20 vehicles.
That's in your study? On John Street, or, I'm sorry?
Mill Street.
Mill Street.
Correct.
So it's just the difference of two vehicles, but 100 feet is more than 2 vehicles. They're saying the queue length will increase by more than 100 feet. You're saying 2 vehicles, which is about...
2 vehicles, about 50 feet.
Yeah.
It's about 23 feet per vehicle or so.
I don't know, and also, I'm just questioning, and a 2 to 3 minute delay per vehicle seems like a lot. But if they change the timing of the lighting, that means traffic is going to be stopped longer on Broad Street in order to let Mill Street traffic come out, correct?
It depends. You're going to have it as an actuator signal, so it's going to balance the traffic flow better. But yeah, we'll back it up, but then, for 30 seconds, then it'll clear it out quicker. They'll have a better opportunity to get into the traffic stream with a green light than they would trying to find a gap on Broad Street.
To make the turn on to...
To turn onto Broad Street, yeah.
Okay, I don't know, just seems like a lot. Plus, when the traffic backs up on Broad Street at the light, then traffic that's trying to come out of the project is also backing up longer, so I don't know how to handle that. It seems like a lot of traffic. And it's not that I want the mill to just sit and deteriorate, but it's a very difficult problem to solve, considering the traffic.
Any other questions? Mr. McDonald? No.
I'll be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have anybody else?
What's the question?
On traffic?
Is one of the Michaels from BL here? Oh, there you are. Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions for BL?
Ken?
No, she said, what are you going to do at the end of it all, okay?
Okay.
Well, we are open to any
Mrs. Scown?
feedback.
Yeah, I have a question about the project. You mentioned that you had not done a phase one, is that correct?
Not an updated phase one. We have a phase one done from a while back that was submitted.
Okay, and didn't show any issues to
Nothing.
push you to a phase two?
No, but we will have to do that again as part of our financing package.
Okay.
We'll have to do a
and
full
When did you do the phase one?
2013.
Okay, all right.
And
I mean,
it hasn't been used since.
So
about
what's
15
the
years before
estimated,
then.
what's the estimated cost of the project,
18 months.
based on what you've just projected?
Did you say cost or time frame?
Cost?
Cost. So you're looking at about $225,000 to $250,000 per unit. So it will really depend on what our density ratio is going to be, but that's a good target.
Okay. And you've applied for state, well, you probably haven't applied for state of tax credits at this point.
Not LIHTC. We have historic is the main contributor right now.
So the 4% LIHTC project is an open application. There's a problem with the LP equity pricing, which reduced the amount of credits that you would receive, but the real problem is the gap in the financing. Because that equity credit is not enough, you would need to apply for multiple capital subsidies, which are all very highly competitive, and they only have generally one opening per year for that application to be submitted, scored, then approved. So let's say in even a perfect world, we got all of it, you're still 2-3 years out before you'd likely get a shovel in the ground with the way that the agencies work, the subsidies, the timing. So you're quite far out if you were to actually secure all the necessary funding.
So you're not securing any private financing?
We certainly have private financing lined up, but the private financing is based off of really the income that the property produces.
Right.
So that's where we are trying to find the middle ground with the town, is where is this project feasible and what level of affordability can we plug into it? And then we already have financing, we have the historic credits, so we have those sources ready to go, allocated for it. It's just really, with traffic being the concern, density being the concern, is there, again, it's not generally the procedure of the board to tell us how many units we should put into a project, but we've had a few iterations, so that's the input that we're hoping to, is just feel from you guys, and, is it 100, is it 90, where should we come back to you guys with on the next meeting with an updated project?
Well, I would think from your standpoint, you should be telling us what your unit, what number of units you want and what it'll be feasible. I mean, if I tell you we only want to do 80 units because of the traffic issue, that doesn't make any sense. That may not be feasible, for you and your financing, et cetera. So, I think you have to.
108. It's
Please?
108 units.
108 your break, okay. All right, that's what we need to know.
Yeah, so we cut it down from 114 to 108.
Yeah.
And we increased the number of 1 units to help with the traffic.
Right, okay, that's what I wanted.
And we made it not dependent on LIHTC credits, because the truth of the matter is, if you call the department right now, you're gonna find out there's an enormously long waiting list, and that most likely, it's not gonna be just the town of Cumberland, it's gonna be towns throughout Rhode Island that projects get stalled for years.
Yeah, you're not going to get tax credits overnight, that's for sure.
Yeah, so this is more, and again, the economic, it's the weirdest moment, right? About 2 years ago, there were developers knocking on every town's door, and that feels comfortable. But when the market changes, and I can tell you it is, because people aren't fighting for projects, they're trying to close the projects they currently have, they're not starting new projects. All of a sudden, it's gonna flip, and the towns are gonna want projects. So it's a weird moment that we have right now.
So you told us earlier it was 110 units, 108 units, and 27 affordable units, is that correct? Okay, so that's the bottom line, basically, that we have to deal with. All right, I think that everybody has to know that.
Again, it's not feasible to do a project if the town doesn't approve, right?
Yeah,
So
well,
that's the balance
yeah,
we're
but
trying to find is like,
I mean, we're not
can we
the,
make it work?
we're not the experts when it comes to, building and et cetera. But we need to know that the project's feasible. I mean, we don't want to see a project start and go bankrupt and
Appreciate that.
and not get completed.
I appreciate that.
So that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know what your bottom line was.
I can, as far as feasibility, what I can state is that if you start breaking over that 40% affordable mark and you're not relying on any subsidy from any other organization, that's when projects start to not make sense from a debt service coverage ratio standpoint.
Yeah, I get that.
So with that said, we proposed 25%. We've spoken to Glenn. We're trying to find that happy medium between unit count and density, as it is a sensitive project with traffic, with affordability, and it also being an existing adaptive reuse project. So we're trying to thread the needle, and the input that we're getting is really, I think, what's going to help us get to a finalized project.
Mr. Chair, sure. Yeah, we'll take a brief recess.
Okay.
Okay. I know that you're moving. I don't think you-